even though it is still no substitute for actually properly acoustically treating your space. But if you're a voice actor, don't ever use one of these things, okay? Because Alright, make sure to stay until the end of the video if you want to see what some channels are doing to their audio to make it seem as if this little ball of foam isn't actually making their audio worse. It's actually very deceiving. I'm not sure why, but lately I've been seeing a surge of people using this little ball of foam across the Instagrams and YouTubes. Whatever the reason, I'm here to ruin lives yet again. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but I'm in a bathroom. And as you can see, I'm using the Neumann TLM 103. But really, in so many videos I see done about the Kaotica Eyeball, it's done in spaces like this, spaces that no one would willingly choose as their environment to record audio in, and then all of a sudden, they throw the eyeball onto the microphone and, oh my God, can you believe it? It's solved all of my audio problems. I mean, listen to that. I don't need to professionally treat my space whatsoever. I can just use this little ball of foam to completely suffocate the mechanics of the way the microphone was made. But seriously, that was pretty impressive, wasn't it? That's called the A/B effect. Give the audience something extreme to listen to before they hear the comparison. That way they don't notice the negative things in the comparison, because the initial audio was so bad that all they can hear is how much better the audio was compared to the initial extreme garbage audio. Now, let me first say, if you're a YouTuber or a podcaster or something along those lines, then fine. Go ahead. Use this little piece of magic. But really, even if you are one of those, I'd always suggest just, properly acoustically treating your space rather than using this thing in the frame like this.
Well, maybe if they made them in camouflage, you wouldn't be able to see them. Food for thought.
But if you're a voice actor and you want voice acting to be your career and not just a fun hobby that you do on the side, then you need to sell this thing, throw it away, or just give it to your dog. On second thought, don't even give it to your dog. Even they don't like them. All right, so now here we are in my closet, a controlled environment that's been acoustically treated with many different methods. That way, when the eyeball gets put on this microphone, you can actually hear what it's doing to the audio rather than being in a ridiculous environment like a bathroom or something that no one's ever going to choose to actually have as their recording space. But now that we're in this controlled environment, you will be able to hear the negative effects of the Kaotica Eyeball. Now, ear training takes many, many years to get good at, but knowing what to listen for can really help. If you don't know what to listen for, most likely you won't even hear a difference. So I'm going to help you here. I'm going to help you with ear training and what to listen for. Right now, the audio sounds really clear, really crystal clear. It sounds like there's a lot of presence in the audio, or some people say a lot of airiness to the audio. It's very clear. When I put the Kaotica Eyeball over the microphone, it's going to almost sound like I've put a mask over my mouth. All of a sudden, the clarity of the audio, the airiness that you hear, the brightness, the high end of the audio is going to be tuned down. All of a sudden, it's going to sound a bit muffled, maybe muddy, maybe boomy. The clarity of the audio is going to go away, and that's what you're going to hear when I put the Kaotica Eyeball on the microphone. So let's hear what that sounds like now. All right, and now this is the TLM 103 with the Kaotica Eyeball completely surrounding the microphone. As you can probably hear, especially if you have headphones on, the clarity in the audio is nowhere near what it was before. Before, it sounded very present. There was a lot of airiness and brightness to the audio, and now that we have the Kaotica Eyeball over the microphone, it sounds muffled. It sounds like I've put a mask over my mouth or something like that. The clarity, the airiness, all the brightness, it's just not the way it was before. And here's the thing, if you're a content creator like a YouTuber or a podcaster or something like that, then by all means, if you want to use this, you can, even though it is still no substitute for actually properly acoustically treating your space. But if you're a voice actor, don't ever use one of these things, okay? Because you're sending your audio off to audio engineers. You're not trying to please the ears of your agent, of fellow voice actors, of people on YouTube. What you're really supposed to be trying to do is please the ears of audio engineers, because they're the ones that are going to have full control of your audio at the end of the day. And trust me when I say engineers are going to be able to tell that you've done something to your audio. They're going to be like, why does it sound muffled? And the thing is, they're going to realize this, and they're going to be like, wow, the other 50 actors that audition for this role, their audio sounds so much better than this voice actor's. And the thing is, they're so busy, they're not going to reach out to you or your agent to let them know, hey, your voice actor's audio doesn't sound nearly as good as the rest of the competition. They got a job to do. They're not going to reach out. They're just going to throw away your audio, potentially not receive auditions from you anymore. That's worst case scenario, but they're going to throw your audio away. They don't have time for anything other than moving on and picking a different voice talent that had better audio. They're not going to reach out to you and let you know that it wasn't nearly as good as the other 50
50 voice actors that submitted, what they're going to do, because they're on a tight deadline, is they're just going to pick one of the other voice actors with better audio. Because then they don't have to go through the heartache of editing bad audio to make it sound better, because everyone has tight deadlines in this business. The turnaround times are incredibly quick, so you have to be on your A game, and using something like this is not on your A game. So again, I've said it a million times, but it's worth repeating. You're not trying to please the ears of other voice actors or people on YouTube or even your agent. I mean, of course you want your agent to like your audio, but most of the time, agents don't even know what good audio sounds like, and it's because they're agents. They know what good reads sound like, right? Unless the audio is just incredibly bad, anybody can hear that. But engineers, audio engineers know what bad audio sounds like. Agents, they know what good reads sound like, and they're going to sign you for that. But you just need to make sure that you're doing your part as a voice actor and you're making your space acoustically sound so that your audio is going to be able to compete with the other top voice actors out there, and you're not going to be left in the dust because you just decided not to treat your space properly and you decided to use a gimmick like this. Alright, so this is what your audio sounds like in a controlled environment without the Kaotica Eyeball on the TLM-103. And this is what your audio sounds like when you put the Kaotica Eyeball over your TLM-103. You should just do voice acting with a mask over your mouth.
Putting something like this close to your microphone or surrounding your microphone like this completely ruins the acoustics of the way the microphone was built. It's a lot like putting a mask over your mouth. All of a sudden, the clarity in the audio is gone. And yes, this also applies to things like a microphone shield or an isovox. Those are just gimmicks, and while it does reduce hard surface reflections in a room from reflecting back into your microphone, at what cost? So now, instead of using EQ and other tools to try to reduce room reflections, in post, if you just use the eyeball to reduce those reflections, you're now going to have to use EQ to fix what the eyeball has done to your audio anyway. So you've just traded one problem for another. What I'm trying to say here is, instead of spending $200 on a ball of foam, $200 on a ball of foam,
$200 on a ball of foam,
spend that $200 acoustically treating your space. Trust me, your career and your bank account will thank you. And finally, let's jump over to my computer and I'll show you what other channels have been doing to their audio to make it sound as if the eyeball is actually improving their audio rather than suffocating it, like we saw in the example I just showed you in my closet. Here we go. As you noticed from the booth portion of this video, once I put the eyeball on the microphone, I lost clarity in the audio, and it began to sound a bit muffled, like I had put a mask over my mouth or something like that. Well, all people do in post is go in with an EQ and boost the crap out of the high end of the audio.
And this is what your audio sounds like when you put the Kaotica Eyeball over your TLM-103. And this is what your audio sounds like when you put the Kaotica Eyeball over your TLM-103.
The main problem here is how deceiving this is, because only a trained audio engineer would be able to pick up on this. Everyone else just sits there in awe of how amazing their audio sounds with the eyeball. There are so many problems with using EQ like this. Again, I go back to the fact that you still had to use EQ to fix what you did to your audio in the first place. And then there's the fact that you never want to crank up the highs like I just did with the EQ, especially if what you're recording is long-form narration, like YouTube videos or podcasts or things like that. Your audio will quickly become fatiguing to the listener's ears because you're not only likely boosting their sibilance, but you're boosting other harsh frequencies as well. If you don't know what sibilance is, it's just a harsh whistle of an S or just a harsh S that sounds like that. But not only are you likely boosting sibilance, you're also making things like ch sounds or t sounds or other sounds like that more harsh, and what happens is you'll get done listening to something for a while and either your ears will feel fatigued and hurt, or you'll begin to hear a slight ringing. This isn't good. EQ is complex. It's not easy. In the beginning, people just want to make really quick general adjustments to their audio with EQ, and it just ends up making their audio worse and a lot harder to listen to. Or they just throw on a preset that's offered within the EQ of their DAW. And again, this just makes their audio worse because everyone's voice is different. Everyone's space is different. Everyone's microphone will react to their voice in that space differently. There is no one-size-fits-all solution, and that's why you have experts who spend countless hours getting great at this kind of stuff. Not to mention ear training, which takes a long time to perfect. If you'd like to learn more about EQ and ear training, you can sign up for one of my classes or a private session with me, and I'm in the middle of creating a massive online audio course for content creators, and there will be a huge EQ section within the course. So be on the lookout for that, hopefully sooner than later, but it's a massive, massive amount of material. But when it comes to things like Kaotica eyeballs and microphone shields, well, you know what they say.